F1 Academy just wrapped up their third season in Las Vegas with a bit of an interesting title showdown until Maya Vug ran to the back of Tina Hausman and raised one, and this pretty much secured the championship for Doria and Pan. All in all, this year's championship was a lot better than last year's with multiple different race winners, a lot more interesting races. Like, if you don't like this series, get on with it. It's genuinely very fun, but there's just one glaring issue with this series that a lot of people have actually caught on with if you're on like F1 Twitter. Before we start today's video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Maybe you can reach 12,000 before the year ends. I hope so. And follow me on Instagram and TikTok because I'm starting to do short form content on those platforms. Now, what is the issue that F1 Academy has? All of their drivers seem to sniff in a tissue. At least Leah made me laugh and I've got her autograph. Has she been on the supersonic train or is she into Alka-Seltzer? I don't know. This is so bad. I'm so bad at making puns. If you don't get this, But no, let's get back on track. F1 Academy's real big issue is the progression after F1 Academy. There's really no clear pathway for anyone after F1 Academy apart from the champion of the season, with the exception being Bianca Bustamante at the end of 2024, and this year she's in British GB3 alongside the champion Abby Pulling, even though she only managed to finish P7 in last year's championship, which, say what you want about the other drivers deserving a chance, at least she got her chance, okay? Let's be happy with that at least. However, there are two drivers that kind of don't get affected by this issue. One of them is my favorite driver. I think you know who. The reason why she and Dorian are exceptions to this issue is because they have the fallback of sports car racing and rally. Dorian can easily go back to sports car racing if she wanted to, and if that was her main focus for the past 2 years, she's probably in a hypercar seat right now in the World Endurance Championship. Same with Leah Block. If rally was her main focus for the past 2 years, she would probably be in WRC right now. But they spent the past 2 years doing F1 Academy instead, so, you know, they were kind of stuck in those two racing categories, although Leah said she doesn't regret it, and Dorian, I really don't know what's up with Dorian. And Leah's back in rally next year, and she's no longer doing single-seaters, so good luck to the rest of her career. I need to find a new favorite F1 Academy. Look, she signed that, but I need to find a new favorite F1 Academy driver. Who should I pick? Probably Alicia. There's a video of her doing a moonwalk, and that's my favorite artist. Look at my Spotify rap. But then for the other drivers who don't have another form of motorsport to fall back on, like, what do they do after F1 Academy? Like, where can they go if they're not the world champion and they don't have another form of motorsport to fall back on? Unless they have a lot of backing, where can they progress? And it also seems like the teams that support these drivers don't really have a clear path for them as well, because a lot of them leave after their F1 Academy tenure. That includes the champion Abby Pulling last year. She's no longer with Alpine, surprisingly. There's only one driver who is still with the F1 Academy team they were assigned with, and that, ironically enough, I have one of their hats. It's oh, my hair. I need to cut my hair soon. I really do. It's so freaking long. But Carrie, that looks so ugly, ain't it? Let's put this hat back. But Carrie Schreiner is the only F1 Academy driver who remained with the F1 Academy team they were paired up with. Is Aurelia Nobles going to remain with Ferrari? Is Maya Vug going to remain with Ferrari? Is Chloe Chambers going to remain with Red Bull? We don't know, but historically, it doesn't seem like it. Now, is there actually anything that can be done to fix this issue? Yeah, there's actually quite a few things. First of all, maybe these F1 teams can actually keep them on for longer than their F1 Academy tenure. The way things are right now just makes it feel like an obligation rather than they actually want to have these drivers in their team. And you see, the solution to this issue is actually very simple. Why not these F1 teams just put in a little bit more effort to actually try and help put these girls into a series that they can be competitive in? You know, like what Red Bull do with some of the junior drivers, putting them in Super Formula. And this relates to a point I made earlier, that if a driver wants to graduate from F1 Academy to another series, they need financial backing. Well, the financial backing is staring right in their faces, and it's these F1 teams, but that hasn't been done to effect so far. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, Bianca Bustamante didn't go to GB3 because of McLaren. Elite Motorsport picked her up. As of right now, there hasn't really been anything said about the drivers who are graduating from F1 Academy for next season, so I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see, and you can't just say that, oh, let's put them in F3. The only one right now on the grid that I think can be competitive in FIA F3 is Maya Vug and Dorian Pan. Like the rest of the grid, I don't see that, but at least put them in motorsport series that's a tier above F1 Academy, because that's the point of graduating. It seems like we're doing too much for these drivers when there's probably some male drivers out there who are better than most of the grid and are not getting like this level of attention. But the thing is, historically, us men have always had far better chances to get into motorsport than what women have. So this is completely fair, and if I hear someone say that this sport should be segregated, historically that has never been the case, so why should we change it now? And it's something unique that motorsport has, that unlike other sports where, you know, you don't have, it doesn't matter if you're a male or a woman, all you have to be is fast and you can be a racing driver. Which is why I'm not a racing driver. So yeah, I think it's fair that these girls are getting better PR than some guys in like a regional F4 series. And I like what Susie Wolf has been doing behind the scenes so far to try and get these girls' names out. She's really been instrumental in making this series work. The issue is, as I mentioned earlier, it seems like it's the F1 teams who are not complying with these. If the end goal of F1 Academy is to try and get a woman into F1 and everyone else but the F1 teams are doing anything, then what's the point of this series? So hopefully these F1 teams do a better job, but that also doesn't mean that F1 Academy is perfect in and of itself. I mentioned earlier that I like that these girls are getting the PR they need, but sometimes it just feels like it's too much. Like the Netflix series. If you haven't seen the Netflix series, I'm in one of the episodes, so go watch it. And also how sometimes it feels like F1 itself is promoting this series like it's F2 level when it's really F4 level. If you still don't agree with my point that they're giving these drivers too much PR, let me show you the calendar. Half the calendar are glamour tracks. That's how you know the PR for this series is insane. But as much as I'm listing down the negatives that this series has, there's still a lot of positives that this series has. The most important being is that it catches the interest of young girls who are looking to get into motorsport. Now, I was at the Singapore Grand Prix like 9 times already. I really want to go to another track, someone invite me. But the past 2 years, I've noticed there's a lot more younger female fans. And that's really good to see, and also the interest of F1 Academy has peaked a lot. Like these two French people cheering for Dorian Pan. Like they didn't even have Alpine merch on, that's how I know the Alpine situation is screwed. But easily the best part of F1 Academy is Discover Your Drive. Now the reason why I think this is because Discover Your Drive actually starts from the ground level, the karting days for these drivers, and it increases the interest and participation of young girls getting into motorsport, thus mathematically increasing the chances of them getting to F1. I've been watching too much Big Bang Theory recently. Bazinga! It follows the more traditional route and can get these drivers into a regional F4 series a lot earlier instead of having to go through F1 Academy instead. And I think this program is going to be the driving force that gets a woman into F1 rather than F1. Well, technically it's part of F1 Academy. Now I'd like to say this, we can see some of the F1 Academy effect in action. Swiss driver Chiana Bading will be driving for High Tech in the 2026 British F4 season, and Luna Fluxa will be driving for Campos in Spanish F4. And that's 2 female drivers going to a feeder series next year that isn't F1 Academy. Another big announcement, Ella Häkkinen, daughter of Mika Häkkinen, joining the McLaren Junior Development Program. That's not Ella Häkkinen, no, that's Mika Häkkinen in a wig. I can't tell the difference. They've actually got 3 Ellas in one team. They're fulfilling the Red Bull Sebastian prophecy. Now, do I want F1 Academy to be a permanent series on the F1 support bill? No, I do not, because that will mean the goal of F1 Academy has failed. You want to get a woman into F1, so if F1 Academy is still on the support bill 10 years from now, then what was the point of having this series in the first place? I also definitely think that if you win the championship in F1 Academy, or at least finish in the top 3 or top 5, you deserve a shot at an FP1 session. If Ryo Hirakawa can do 1,000,000 FP1 sessions, an F1 Academy driver can do it. Same with Kian Shields, like look at his F3 and F2 stats. But at the end of the day, am I really qualified to talk about women's unfair opportunities in motorsports? Probably not, because I don't experience it firsthand, but I am an observer. Coaches don't play. I don't think that phrase makes sense in this occasion, but let me know what you think about F1 Academy. Do you think it's perfectly fine as it is, or do you think there's clear issues that needs to be fixed? And hopefully one day we will see a woman in F1. But first we need a woman in F2. That hasn't been done since Tatiana Calderon. then we need an FP1 session, then we can talk about F1. But guys, thanks for watching this video and goodbye.